Shalom, I'm Rabbi Michael Panitz. I'm the Rabbi of Temple Israel of Norfolk, Virginia, speaking to you from the pulpit of our synagogue. At this time, my message is about remembering and honoring an unjustly neglected matriarch. The Bible tells us what we need to know, but it often tells us far less than we would want to know. This is true with the male subjects of Bible stories, but even more so with the women. I am routinely frustrated by how little we know of the women in the formative eras of our history and our spiritual journey. True, occasional stories focus on women. For instance, we know a bit about the midwives who saved the Hebrew infants from the genocidal orders of the Pharaoh. We have an episode here and there in the lives of Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, Rachel, Miriam, Deborah, and the mother of Samson, but we do not even know her name. Even under the best of circumstances, the Bible has a minimalist narrative aesthetic, leaving out so much that we as readers would hope to know. Rabbis in the classical era filled in the gaps, but only a fundamentalist or a credulous reader would fail to see that the rabbis are speaking to their own congregations, their own day and age, through the constructions that they backdate as Bible commentaries. High up in the ranks of women about whom we know too little is Keturah, the last wife of the patriarch Abraham, and the mother of 6 of his 8 sons. Indeed, the contemporary Bible scholar Richard Elliott Friedman has called her, quote, the most ignored significant person in the Torah. I believe that the presence of Keturah in the earliest sacred memories of the Israelites attests to a sense of kinship that the tribes of Israel believed to exist with certain northwest Arabian tribes. For example, one of the children of Abraham and Keturah was Midian. A key biblical memory is that Moses, fleeing Pharaoh, crossed the Sinai and settled in the land of Midian, southwest of the Dead Sea, marrying Tzipporah, daughter of the priest of the Midianites, Jethro. That is where Moses had his religious awakening at the mountain of the Lord. Perhaps the Christian tradition locating Mount Sinai in the southern Sinai Peninsula is actually a poorer fit for the historical site than the volcano Halat al-Badr in northern Saudi Arabia. A volcano in the region plausibly identified with Midian would be a good fit for the biblical description of a mountain associated with fire visited by Moses during his sojourn in Midian. This then is a tantalizing connection. Keturah, Midian, Moses, Mount Chorev, and the encounter with the God who is known as Yud He Vav to the Midianites, meaning the existing one. It reinforces the sense that we wish we could have known more about Keturah. But alas, too many of the Bible's narratives are memorializations of stories told by fathers to sons, not enough of them the lore told by mothers to their daughters. There is a modern use of the term Keturah that honors the feminine and the masculine equally. I'm referring to the kibbutz, Israeli collective settlement known as Kibbutz Keturah. It is located about a half an hour's journey north of the Israeli port city Eilat, close to the nearby hill and wadi known by the same name, Keturah. The kibbutz has just completed its first half-century of existence, having been founded by American Olim, immigrants to Israel, in 1973. Currently, it has about 500 residents, a third of whom are full members of the kibbutz. I would like to highlight two of the distinctive features of this settlement. First, it is a community dedicated to environmental protection and ecological education. It is a key site for the work of the Arava Institute, which is, quote, an academic and research center for environmental leadership in the Middle East. It advances the work of the Sustainable Agriculture Program of the Arava Institute. Among the sustainable foodstuffs cultivated at Kibbutz Keturah are algae and dates. Algae are a superior alternative to the synthetic fertilizers commonly used in agriculture. Unlike synthetic products, algae-based fertilizers do not result in the decline of soil fertility and the degradation of local soil, water, and air ecosystems. As for the date palms, one of the trees at Keturah is a celebrity, as it were. It is nicknamed Methuselah, successfully grown from a 1900-year-old seed discovered by Professor Yigal Yadin while excavating Masada in the 1960s. Let us return to our theme of a more equitable sense of men and women cooperating in a religious journey. Kibbutz Keturah is a part of the Masorti stream of Judaism, our own centrist denomination, dedicated to egalitarianism in worship and in religious life. This is unfortunately rare in Israel as a whole and in the kibbutz movement. About 80% of Israeli Jews are secular, and likewise most kibbutzim are secular. The religious ones are Orthodox, perpetuating the second-class status of women in the religious sphere. Kibbutz Keturah is a small-scale and yet important demonstration that men and women can be equal partners in the task of repairing the broken world, being proponents of peace across historic lines of suspicion, and working to bring people back to the mandate that God has given us to tend as well as to till the garden that is this world. I would like to think that Kibbutz Keturah is well named. If we could create a Wayback Machine and visit the tent of Abraham and Keturah some 3.5 millennia ago in the Negev region of southern Israel, we could recover the unwritten history of the marriage of Keturah and Abraham. I believe that such a history would disclose a couple, woman and man, raising their 6 children, or maybe more, maybe only the sons were named. The parents would have taught their sons, and perhaps their daughters, to live in harmony with the environment. They would have kept and guarded their flocks and herds, staying attuned to the natural world on which they depended. They would have been full partners in the task of raising children to continue their sacred work. We, Jewish people, are the descendants of Isaac, son of Abraham and Sarah. But we are the cousins of the children of Abraham and Keturah. I yearn for the day when the cousins' circle may again be healed. Amen.